Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are heading out to Wichita, Kansas. We're going to be delivering this 1980 Mercury Capri Turbo RS to one of my friends, Ford Blue Gauge, and we're going to be picking up a new powertrain or a new engine for a swap coming up. We're going to be picking up a Gen 1 Coyote engine. And here's the AMC. I got the wheels off of it. Going to get them all fixed up so that they hold air for the winter. Got the Pontiac engine coming together for this car. But the Capri's headed to Wichita. We're going to take the old F-150. This truck is got a lot of miles on it. But we're going to try it out, make sure it'll make the trip. This truck may be getting that engine, so this 4.62 valve is really tired. It's got 400,000 miles on it. I did do time of change and oil pump in it last year. It runs great, just don't have much power. But it may be getting a Coyote swap. It's a 2008 model, and we will be putting a, most likely, this 2014 Gen 1 Coyote in this truck. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, we're getting ready to head out. So we will be on the road shortly. It's an 8-hour trip to Wichita. We're going to be stopping in Missouri at Squarebody Ranch to see my friend Chad over at Squarebody Stuff. If you haven't seen his channel and you like Squarebody Chevys, go check out Chad over at Squarebody Stuff. So anyway, let's get to rolling on the road. I'll get right back to you. All right, we've crossed into the state of Missouri, or Misery. We are actually in Thayer, Missouri right now, and we're heading north. We're going to stop in Cabul, Missouri, and see Chad with Squarebody Stuff. Almost here to Squarebody Stuff's place. Heading down this gravel road. Go check out a couple Squarebodies. Say hi to Chad. We're gonna look and see if Stumpy's there. See y'all in a minute. All right, here we are rolling into Squarebody Ranch. So we got Chevrolet stuff. Square bodies. See the tractor sitting out here running, which means he's somewhere out here. I see old Squeaky sitting there. Alright, we'll see what's going on out here today. Alright, here we are at Square Body Ranch with Chad at Square Body Stuff. Looking at Squeaky. We're fixing to go for a ride. Take the old big block truck out. Try it out. He said he did a little tuning, a little adjusting on it. Since No Name Nationals, we're going to see...
hood pins and hood latch because race truck.
Yep, race truck. Yep, the 305 with big valve covers here. So we're going to try it out and see how it does. It was fun watching this truck at No Name with the dually wheels on the back doing a burnout. If you didn't see that, then go to Square Body Stuff channel and check out his No Name National videos. I'll have a link here in the description. But we trying this thing out. All right, back on the road. Just left Chad's house there in Square Body stuff, Square Body Ranch. So we're leaving Cabul, Missouri. As soon as we hit the highway up here, heading over to Wichita to drop this Capri off and pick up that Coyote. It's got some pretty land around here. It's all cattle country. Yep, beautiful land in these parts of Missouri right here. So we'll get back on the highway, start heading over to Wichita. All right, we're rolling into Wichita, Kansas. We had some we experienced some detours. So one of the highways we was traveling on, Highway 400, it was shut down and there was no detour signs. So I had to take a detour. Had to figure it out looking at the GPS, and it was pretty sketchy. It was back roads, Hills Have Eyes, Kansas that I was driving through, and I did see a huge deer and almost hit it. It was like a size of a mule deer. It was enormous. But anyway, it's 9 o'clock at night and we have made it to Wichita. So we're going to get up here and get this Capri unloaded and get this Coyote engine loaded back up, and then we'll start heading back to Arkansas. We're going to go to Rogers, Arkansas, to Ed's machine shop and drop off this Pontiac 400 crankshaft. So we'll get the camera back on when we get up here to the shop we're going to unload this at. All right, the Capri is gone. We got it unloaded. It's now in Wichita, Kansas. But I did pick up a 50,000 mile Coyote that was in a garage fire. But it's only got 54,000 miles on it. And it's not hurt. Not everything, it all didn't melt off of it. The valve covers got hot and the intake got hot and some of the wiring, but it's going to be fine with some, I'm going to swap the intake anyway and put a ported 18 model intake on it. And I wanted to get some Mustang valve covers for it anyway. But it's a good one to put together. Put in this truck here. Back on the road. We here in Rogers, Arkansas. I'm following Ed with Ed's machine. He's right in front of me, and we are headed over to the shop to take a look around. That way I can get this crankshaft out and let him check it out and see if it's savable. Anyway, we're at it. All right, here I am at Ed's machine shop with Ed.
Good morning, everybody.
And I just brought the Pontiac crankshaft in so we can look at it and see if it's going to be able to be saved without too much work. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Got Steven's 400 Pontiac crank. We're going to start checking our rods. What'd you say it was, Steven? 2010?
Yeah, 20 on the rods.
So the front rod, whoever ground it was ground on the high limit, but they had done a pretty nice job, whoever had done it originally. Okay, number 1 throw, mic's out perfect. It's on the high side. Now we're moving into some wear. We're down about half, 3/4 of a thousandths. So see how much out of round we have. About a half thousandths out of round, half paper. You have to bear with me on my voice. I've just got over the flu, and so I'm having a residual cold effects, and I'm praying that I don't make our friend here, Stephen, ill, but I do not have a temp. I've not had a temp for 2 days, so. That's a darn shame. Yeah, see this one right here? This, well, while we're talking, this is what you always want to look at. A lot of times this journal didn't look that bad on the top side, but the back side, you can see it's pretty scorched. We have a tremendous amount of heat buildup here in the middle. That's where the bearing was undoubtedly being pushed out to the side. I'm sure it was. I didn't see the bearing, so and it's pushing that heat up out there. All right, so we're going to continue with our inspection. Yeah, I'll let you. Thank you. Thank you. So some of you guys have watched my videos and seen how we chamfer the oil holes. These holes they've got a little chamfer, but they don't have a lot. I usually like putting a little more chamfer.
I noticed that when I first looked at that crank that they
Yeah.
didn't have much in them.
They do have some, so someone had lightly done it.
Yep.
So that's better than a lot of the rebuilder type cranks. They don't do any. This one here is really smoked, this number 4. And you can just see that by the black on here, it just totally ran out of oil. This has been tremendous heat. That's been superheated. Good thing they stopped when they did. All right. So it mics out. And we'll do the calculations. So 21. So it's I think I found one in there that was a little lower, but all right, so we'll just water staining up here. Was it like that when you pulled out of the motor, or do you think it just got exposed? The reason
he
is
had it under his carport.
Okay.
And I went and picked it up, and I put it back. I oiled everything and put it back in the engine.
Okay.
And had it upside down, and I put the caps back on it.
Okay.
So it may have got exposure when he had it in his carport out of it.
Okay, guys, we're going to continue on. I'm going to check our mains, and front main mic's out. It's on the high limit. You can see you have signs of wear here. So when the crank was ground, originally it was ground too big. This number 2 was almost ground almost 4/10 too big. And we'll come back here and we'll get some pictures of this. Are you filming this?
Yeah. I wish I would have brought. I wish I'd have brought this rear bearing with me. The rear bearing had wear. You could see the copper in it.
Yeah.
And remember I sent you that picture of that piece of cast iron that was down in the oil pan?
Yeah.
That was the balancer. When the balancer came apart and that fell down in the oil pan, so they put a new balancer on it.
Oh, and so the hub broke?
Yeah.
And the part of the hub was in that?
Yeah, and I don't know, and I think that's what caused the damage on this bearing back here, was they drove it with that balancer.
Very well could have.
And then they put another balancer on it and sold him the car. And he only put about, I bet he didn't put 50 miles on the car and it started.
This is the thrust main. It's right on the high side. Oh, way too big.
Yeah, this is the one that had the bearing damage. That bearing was damaged. It had copper on this backside.
This back. Why don't you just kind of hold that and zoom in if you would help me? And this journal here was ground about 4/10 too big. Now, as you can see here on the Pontiac, you got a wider surface here and a narrower surface here. That's kind of where the groove is off to one side, and that's why the crank's that way. Crank doesn't even touch back here. But yeah, about 3. So let's mic the area that's not worn. That's a good way to find out. Yeah, that's about 4/10 too big. So let's say you put something together and you've got you put something together and you've got let's say you would, if everything was right, you would have had 1.5, 1 3/4, 2/1000 clearance. Now if the crank is 1/2 thousandths too big, you just lost. So if you were 1.5 thousandths, now you only have 1/1000th. And in my opinion, these bearing journals are so large, they need extra clearance. I mean, when I do these, if I think the guy's going to lean on it, I automatically grind this on the split, and then the rods. If the guy's going to recon the rods, and when I recon my rods, I size them. I guess I need to be okay. When I grind the cranks, what I do when I spec it out, I like grinding the mains on the split, typically on street stuff, and the rods to the low side, split to low side. Because if I recon the rods, I'm going to recon the rods. Can't get that just right, but when I recon the rods, I like to do them on the tight side. Get as much bearing crush, but of course, when you do that, it's going to squeeze the bearing. So you have to get the clearance somewhere. So you have to grind it into the crankshaft. So this thing didn't have any clearance. This engine had no room for air. So, and then of course, when it started having an oiling problem, basically since it was tight, it just, I mean, things went from bad to worse in a hurry.
Really fast.
Yes. So we're going to do a couple more tests here, and then we'll be back. Okay. So since this has been smoked, you might get this on film. So if you want. So since this has been smoked, we don't know what happened to this crankshaft in a previous life, why they had to grind it. But chances are, with it being 20 on the rods and 10 on the mains, it definitely spun a bearing before. So now, This is the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is, before we're going to set this up and check it for straightness, but what we're going to do, we're going to do a ring test on this. You can get this. I'm going to show you a penny trick. I got one in my pocket. I usually have a pocket full. I got.
Oh, you ain't got no copper. I bet you I got copper right there, brand new copper.
Here I got.
Oh, you got copper, shiny copper.
Yeah, and actually, do you have an older copper? I like the older ones better.
Yep. Let's see. Yep.
There you go. That'll work. That's
a little bit older.
A little bit older. Okay. So, here, you can grab that and hold that up here. You guys at home, some of you seen me do this before.
Wait. Oh no, it's gone. It's gone. My bad. Sorry.
Some of you guys at home, you've seen me do this before. Take a copper penny and you go this way on the journal. It won't hurt anything. And you can hear that. I know you can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear it.
You can hear it, and there's kind of a ring in there, but that's not why we're doing it. And you look at that journal, try to get up close on there. Let's see if we can see this.
Yep, right there.
You can see that it's actually filed right there. It filed, get that in there. It filed the corner of that penny off.
Yep.
You see that in?
Yep.
And all you guys at home can do that before you go to the machine shop. So if you don't know if a crank needs to be polished or not, do a penny test, and it will not hurt a thing. You're not going to hurt your crank. You test it yourself, and if that'll file that penny, but if it will leave, and you can get you, sometimes you can get you a white cloth or something. Yeah, like this side here. This side's really rough. And I like using an old copper penny. A solid copper penny is just really...
Yeah, you can hear that really well.
Guys, don't rebuild an engine. Did you get that in there?
Mm-hmm. I see it shiny.
Yep. And that literally...
That'll eat your bearing.
So you see the bearings get into the copper. Well, if you know if it'll file that penny, it's going to darn sure file the... It's going to darn sure file the bearings out of it. And all right, so it fails.
Yep.
But you get a lot of yeah, you can see there's a piece of copper right there. See it? Now the other thing is, and this might seem a little crude.
Show.
Okay. Alright guys. This is another thing you home gamers can do. People might laugh at this, but people have been doing this before I was born. Ball peen hammer. Of course you don't want to smack a journal or nothing. We're going to smack it out here. We're going to hit it. We're not beating it. We're not smacking it to the... So we're going to do this and we're going to listen. Stephen and I have not done this yet, so you guys are going to hear it. Hear the ring? Hear the ring? Hear the ring? Now usually I don't hit on the rod throws. Okay, you get more of a thud up there. But if you hit the counterweight, that crank's not broke.
It would be a thud, wouldn't it, if it was...
It'll be a thud. And if you ever hit a crank like that and you hear a thud, don't waste your time having a shop Magnaflux it. Because, you know, they're going to charge you $55, $75 to mag it. Don't do it. Just go ahead and...
Bite the bullet.
Get you another crank.
Yep.
We're going to clear, so...
Tell me when you're ready and I'll get started. I mean, before I spend a bunch of money on this crank, I'll just buy a new crank. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It requires that.
Okay, guys, I think we're all lined up. After a bunch of, you can see we're on zero here. My associate and this camera assistant today, you come over here to the shop, you're going to get put to work. So, we're going to just kind of rotate this crank. And this is what you want to do. And for you guys at home, when you're doing this, you can get a dial indicator. If you need to, you get an indicator extension. You put your mag base on your oil pan rail, and you put in a rear main and a front main. You can do exactly the same thing I'm doing here. It may not be perfect, but it'll get you close. Here it goes. $12.5 thousandths. Let's come back and check our work. We'll check our, see if we're repeating. We're coming back really close to zero. We're going to go back through again. About 12.5 thousandths. So which brings me to another famous story at the shop here. There was nothing wrong with it till he brought it over here. Ask me how I know that people say that.
This crank was fine till you put it in that machine.
Man, you learn quick. You're awesome. You learn quick.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Thing is, this kind of explains some reasoning, like you said, of why this engine's already failed twice with the same crankshaft, possibly.
Well, and this is another thing that people don't think of. We already know it's bent, but I just want to.
And just to clarify, this crankshaft we don't know who ground this before.
No.
This engine came out of my friend's Firebird, and we don't know the history. The car came out of Tennessee, so we don't know anything about who built the engine. It came out of the Millington area.
Okay, so we have an oil hole there. So let's move over, see if we can miss. Here, get in there. We're gonna try. Yeah, you don't want to be turning that and wreck your indicator by falling into an oil hole.
That's right.
So we're gonna zero it. Okay, we're not at zero. So what if that's going down? As you can see, we're minus the zero. We're going back toward 90. So when you get to a low place, re-zero the dial indicator. Oh wow. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Another case, there was nothing wrong with it until he brought it over here. I never, ask me how I know that people say that. Which reminds me of another favorite saying I have. A man with an explanation is at the mercy of a man with experience. So today, hopefully, y'all are going to be as smart about checking this stuff as I am. And I'm not saying I'm smart. If I was probably smart, I'd probably be doing something else.
You've got this crankshaft bending machine here that you bend crankshafts with, so you can.
Yeah.
That's what you just bent my crankshaft.
So yeah, let's talk about that. So my mill table's pretty nice, and it's not a Bridgeport, but it's a Bridgeport type mill. It's an Inco. It's a Pinnacle actually. It's made in Taiwan. It's a great machine. The table's nice. This is in B blocks. The B blocks are good B blocks, but of course the nature of B block. The radius of the journal is going to find the center of the radius of the the angle of the V block. So here we are. We're checking again. I'm just. So it's going to bring me to another thing. Zoom in on that thrust. This.
Yep.
is all burned up, and Stephen and I notice how rough that is down in there. So the reason that's like that, now we know, so now we're going to give cause and effect. The reason we know is because those thrust surfaces are turning perpendicularly. It's perpendicular to the axis of the crankshaft, so it's at a right angle.
Mm-hmm.
So with the crank being bent, those flanges are doing this against the thrust bearing. They're not running true anymore. The crank bent, when it bent, the geometry just inherently pushed two sides in, the other side's out. So the thing was literally trying to destroy itself. Okay.
All right, just got out of Ed's machine shop. As you can see from the video, the Pontiac 400 crankshaft is bad. It's bent and it needs to be turned. It can be fixed if someone straightens it up right and then regrinds it, but for the money I'd have to spend on fixing that crankshaft, I could probably just buy another one and not have to deal with that. So anyway, I'll be looking on for the next crankshaft. I think I've got I think I know where one's at with another engine, so I need to go check it out. But anyway, now we're on our way home. We got a 5-hour drive back to northeast Arkansas from northwest Arkansas. So here we go. All right, it is 8 o'clock at night. Been on the road all day. So I'm 40 minutes from my house. Been sitting here for about 20 minutes. There was a semi truck up here that was ran off the road, and this wrecker is trying to get him out of the ditch. He's got him almost out now. Man, I'll be glad when he gets him out. I've been sitting here actually over 30 minutes. Yeah, I should have been home already.
Been a long day, been a long 2 days. I think I slept 2 hours last night in the truck and kept on driving. I think I slept for about 30 minutes today in the truck. Well, about 10 minutes this morning and about 30 minutes this afternoon. So I got, you know what, 2.5 hours of sleep in the last 2 days on this trip out to Wichita and back. But it's been a good trip. I had a good time today over at Ed's Machine Shop, and had a great time yesterday up at Squarebody Ranch with Chad, and taking Squeaky out for a run. That was a blast. That truck is fun, and it smokes the crap out of those 37-inch mud tires on the back of it. I don't know if I'll get the camera back out before when I get home, because it's going to be late. I mean, if I left now, I'd be home by 9 o'clock if they'd open the road up. But the road's still closed off. Let's see if you can see this. Let me turn this light out. I don't know if you can see. Probably not. But anyway, traffic is stopped. Has been for the last 30-40 minutes. And hopefully I get to moving soon. But anyway, I'm going to sign off on this video, and I'll try to get this uploaded in the next few days. But once again, Chad, thanks for letting me come up to Squarebody Ranch. Ford Blue Gauge, it was awesome meeting you yesterday and handing that Capri off to you so that you can do whatever you plan to do with it. It's going to be in good hands. I know you care about those cars a lot, so I like the car a lot. I just don't need it at the moment. And then today, Ed and Ed's Machine, thanks for letting me come in. I appreciate you coming up to the shop today and inspecting this crankshaft with me. And then we had great discussions over engines and future projects and big blocks and stuff. And thanks for the tour, and I really appreciate you letting me come in, especially since you've been sick for the last week. But on that note, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the channel. And if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit the like. And I'll see you on the next video. I'm Big Block 402, and I'm gone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going on an adventure. We are going to head out to Wichita, Kansas to go meet up with someone on a let me get back to you.